Well, the chief and mayor, they're addressing the media. Let's listen live.
Before I came to office, the violence in the TDC was at its highest, and since then it has been dropping. And just today I've confirmed it's 25% drop in terms of the number of customers having violent incidents. And we've taken significant steps to make the system safer. We have, in fact, increased over 400 frontline people inside the TDC. We have, if you want me to name them, 160 additional TDC staff and supervisors are now on stations and platforms compared to 2023. 137 TTC special constables with more in training. We have 111 provincial offense officers and 13 supervisors. We have quite a large number of streets-to-home outreach staff to bring the people that should not be in the subway or buses to shelters. We have the multidisciplinary outreach team. And one of them are the Toronto Community Crisis Team that we've just announced is coming on. And we also have community safety ambassadors. They're the ones that have the red shirts, etc. So it seems to be working. The numbers are trending down and people are feeling safer. Maybe you can quote the exact statistics of the 25%.
Sure. Thanks, Mayor Chow. And maybe I'll just start by contextualizing and just noting that, of course, we know there are challenges. This is industry-wide. Our peers across Canada, across the United States, as your article points out, identify some of the things that have emerged out of the pandemic. The good news is that the numbers are trending in the right direction. And so, as the Mayor Chow cited, incidents against customers have gone down year over year by over 25%. While I can cite a lot of numbers, I think the most important thing is what are we hearing from our customers and what are we hearing from those who have maybe left transit? And one thing that is clear is that they want to see more people, more trained people on our system. And we've responded with that over the last couple of years. And in particular, they've said, we encourage you and we want to see the police on the system. So I think why we're so pleased with today's announcement is a direct response to what our customers are telling us. And we hear it from them regularly. And they do want to see a uniform police presence in the system. And so we're pleased that this will become a reality in the coming days.
And just to clarify, when will these officers start working on the transit system? And Chief, you did mention that you did put officers in the transit system in 2023, but that was just temporary. Yeah. So why the decision to end that? And now you are bringing them back, and I gather this will be a permanent initiative? Yeah, so to be clear, what's happening now is our Neighbourhood Community Officer Program expanding into these neighborhoods and transit. We are in the moment going through our internal process of identifying officers for those roles, and they should be in position to be deployed before the end of this year in all these neighborhoods, including their transit deployment. And permanent? Yes, they will be permanently deployed as neighborhood community officers in these 4 neighborhoods and that part of the transit system.
All right, this question is for the Chief, Shauna, City News. We're closing in on the end of 2025, and you did allude to it a little bit earlier. There does seem to be this steady downward trend when it comes to violent crime. Homicides are down by more than half. In fact, this year could end as having one of the lowest homicide rates in really recent memory, at least 5 years. Gun violence down too. So what is working? What has changed? And what is having this impact?
So that's a great question. And, when crime goes up, I often talk about the complexities that contribute to rising crime and why people engage in crime. And the answer to solving it is equally complicated. We are, of course, doing everything we can to use our data more, to share information more, to integrate our efforts more, not just across the policing sector, but with our partners at the city and our communities, which we know makes a difference. We know we can get ahead of things better when we work in partnership, in collaboration, in coordination with all the other people who have a role in community safety and well-being. So we're doing that better, and we're continuing to iterate accelerate that and improve that, and are committed to partnering better, using data more. And we're also becoming much more hyper-localized in our response. We have a finite amount of resources. We know that. We know that every time. We'll be talking about it in the coming weeks in the budget cycle. There is a finite amount of police officers and bandwidth in this organization. We need to be hyper-localized where we can attend to the issues that are most pressing in the community. The NCO program is one of those key programs that is making a difference, because it allows us to partner locally and get ahead of things better before a crisis evolves, before a conflict escalates to physical confrontation and escalates to gun violence or any other violence. We are better positioned now to get involved in disrupting those activities and doing everything we can to help resolve any conflicts in our community or any criminality in our community uniquely differently. I'd also, you can't help but note the issue of safety and security has become a provincial and federal conversation. And we have seen a greater sense of awareness in our communities amongst political leaders and other people to drive change in what's available to us as a service, what's available in the justice system, how things are administered through the courts that help deter and otherwise prevent ongoing criminality. So all of these things and more, there's more to talk about, help impact that. But I think what's important to recognize now is the time to double down on those efforts and continue to push forward. We are not where we want to be. And I am one to certainly point to the incredible work our police officers do each and every day, going into harm's way, dealing with incredibly complex things, but they continue to need support to get that done and continue to need support in their efforts to partner and collaborate with communities and agencies and other people who have a stake in community safety and well-being.
Okay, it has been a challenging year when it comes to youth involved in violent crime. We've had many young teenagers charged with murder, even 12-year-olds. Obviously, community officers, in some of these neighborhoods, I'm sure it helps a little bit, but this is a really, multifaceted problem. So, I mean, what is police doing to get to these youth?
Such a great question, and I'm glad you actually focused on youth in the context of all that we deal with. We've been ringing the alarm bell on youth involved in violent crimes, particularly gun crimes, for the last couple of years. In the last couple of years, we have seen youth apprehended in regards to firearms charges more than double. You've heard me talk about youth involved in murders in our city. It is an incredibly concerning issue that we are one stakeholder in. But there are many, many stakeholders, and I really want to focus us back to the SAFETO 10-year community safety and well-being program that the city is driving that involves a multidisciplined approach to all the different things we deal with in our society, but youth especially. It's going to take a number of different partners to come together and keep at it over the long term and be resourced in a way that helps continue the supports that are necessary to disrupt that pattern of activity. And in addition, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, we need a justice system approach that deters young people from picking up firearms and getting involved in gun violence or violent robberies or any other activity that we've seen on the rise. We need a system that deters that kind of activity and holds offenders accountable in a realistic way that disrupts this ongoing concern that we are all looking to address.
Ali Chiasson, CBC Toronto. We've seen reports that the Toronto Police might be winding down the mobile crisis intervention teams. I believe there was an internal memo from the police alluding to that. Just a question as to why that might be.
Yeah, listen, I think, again, somebody mentioned context. Let's add some context here to something that perhaps has been reported on out of context. We have been talking about in the last while that we are shifting the paradigm around our approach to mental health. And the shift is really driven by the notion that mental health is first and foremost a health issue. Let me be clear on that. When we are called to a person in crisis, first and foremost, this is actually a health issue that has a safety factor. And we need to shift the paradigm, including in our own operations, but importantly with our partners, to ensure that we're doing everything we can to bring a healthcare lens to what is clearly a health issue. And what we are talking about is re-envisioning our approach to our response to people in crisis and looking at the other partners that are within the system that may be able to be empowered through some legislative reform or other changes to provide the right care or better care that people need at the time of particular distress. We're not the only player in this space. We have become a focus of response to people in crisis and mental health because of historic changes in the healthcare system and other pressures. I think it's now time, and we are driving this change, to refocus the response to mental health to be a health response, and that our response should be minimized to where it's needed most, which we of course acknowledge. There is going to be times when the police are absolutely required. There is no timeline to sunset MCIT. There are so many variables that need to come together, that need to happen before that can be envisioned. But what we are telling everybody is it is time to re-envision the response to mental health in a way that brings the health sector to the forefront and brings the police into it to the most minimal amount necessary for the best possible health care and safety outcome for those impacted by mental health issues.
Hi there, Mattis Habibinya, Toronto Star. My question's for the Mayor, Chief, if you don't mind, just shifting the topic onto speed cameras, Mayor Chow. We're hearing that we got about 20 school zone signs that don't fit on our city poles. Is that accurate? And what has the province said they're going to do about it?
Yes, we have received signs for 20 school zones. And yes, they're too big, and we have to get new poles. The province said they would cover the cost. Speed cameras save lives, and it fund a lot of safety, whether they're police officers there's 17 of them, over 900 crossing guards, and 20 location, 4 signs per location. We have received the signs.
150 speed camera locations and 641 school zones. Is that it? Is just 20?
Yeah, there's no option to ask for more signs.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning that we cannot get more than 20 unless the province decide that they would increase the number of locations. So, yes, we have 150 speed cameras, and they are in school zones, and the cameras rotate because there are 641 school zones in total. We have told the province we need new posts. They are going to fund us for the new posts, but unless they change their mind, 20 locations is it, and it can't be rotated.
Sorry, I'm just a little confused. Why 20? Like, is it that they
I don't know why
more?
20 locations. Okay. I didn't make that decision. It's up to the provincial government.
Okay.
And there are no options to ask for more signs unless someone changed their mind.
Okay.
I just want to say just 2 quick things, the last 2 questions on safety and youth safety. Yesterday we just had a summer youth safety plan evaluation, and the police are very much part of that plan. And there are a lot of programs that support young people, because when school's out, they need to do something. So our plan was able to engage a large number of young people, I think 15,000 young people. And there are special programs, whether there's mentorship program or violence or conflict resolution trainers in schools. There are programs in school that we've heard from school that said used to be 3 fights a day, no fights anymore, because the young people learn how to de-escalate. So all of that, with everyone's support, you're seeing that there are now good impact.
Alan Carter from City News. I hope you'll bear with me. I have one question on the signs, and then I have a question about speed cameras for both the mayor and the police chief. Councillor in Brampton has raised concerns that the size of the signs themselves being in school zones could create blind spots and difficulty seeing, and that they might actually in themselves be a danger to kids and to pedestrians.
I will look into it, whether the signs are too big or not, whether it's blocked a blind spot. I hope not. I just know that the signs are so big that it doesn't fit into our post. So, and I do know that we do have 150 speed cameras locations. So I don't know what the provincial government is planning to do dealing with it. We did tell them that speed kills, and we need to make sure people are not speeding, especially in school zones.
Thank you, Mayor. And to the Chief. Chief, over the course of the year, we have seen dozens of incidents of vandalism and destruction of speed cameras across the city. To date, there have been no arrests and only one photo released by police. Could you update us on the status of that investigation, please?
Well, the only update I can offer is that it is certainly ongoing, to the extent that if new information comes to light, we'll follow up every lead we have and every lead we can. But there's been no arrest to date. And beyond that, we'll wait and see how things unfold.
And the same question now for you and the mayor. Considering that there have been no arrests and the cameras are now gone, have the vandals won?
Yeah, listen, the short answer is no. They have not. These are policy decisions made by others that, as the chief, I'm not going to comment on any further. I think we've been clear enough on that, what our feelings are as a sector and what we are doing as a city from the police perspective. But the short answer is no.
Mayor, do you have confidence that this is an active investigation by police?
I do, and they may be, they are investigating, and it's hard to ask them to tell us as part of the investigation, tell us the details. I don't think that would work very well. So I trust the chief and his team to get to the bottom of all these criminals that actually, and charge them with mischief, and they should get the kind of punishment that they deserve, because they are destroying properties.
Have the criminals won in this case? The cameras are gone, no arrests.
That is a political decision.
Hi, Janice Golding from CTV News. I just had a brief question actually about the program and its deployment. So you've got 4 officers that are going to be deployed into certain neighborhoods, another 8 on the subway system. Can you just tell us how it's going to work on the subway particularly? How are you going to roll this out?
Yeah, so our Neighborhood Community Officer Program, they work in teams of 4, 2 on, 2 off. And that allows us to have 7-day-a-week coverage. So in each of these neighborhoods, including those on the subway, we'll have at any given time 2 neighborhood community officers working. And the way they deploy is typically to address the needs of those neighborhoods. So, unique considerations by neighborhood. In the transit system, we are looking at peak times when we'd be most effective to be present based on a number of metrics. And you'll see officers in and around those times. On top of that, there'll be some very specific attention paid to different areas of that, and as I said, Bloor and Union as unique crossover points in the transit infrastructure. They'll get a unique amount of attention from our neighborhood community officers in the transit system.
Okay. And a follow-up question, actually a separate question. CAA released a study finding that impairment was most evident at 90 minutes after consumption of cannabis, et cetera. So its effects may not be noticeable until a motorist is already behind the wheel. We just want to know what Toronto police are seeing when it comes to cannabis use amongst drivers. Are you able to catch users with the standardized tests?
Well, I don't have the data in front of me. We do have experts trained in recognition of drug impairment or impairment through drugs. I think what underlies that message is, or that set of stats, is the message of don't drive after consuming drugs. Just don't do it. You will not understand the level of impairment. So the simple message is don't drive while you're high. That would be the message I take away from that stat.
And how difficult is it to catch people who are impaired with cannabis versus
Well, I think any effort to intervene on drivers and their level of impairment is a unique set of police officer skills and engagement. So I'm not going to comment on what's more difficult or not. It really is contextual on an individual set of circumstances presented at the roadside that officers have to evaluate.
I'm the Johnston Wheeler, Toronto Today. Thank you. It's just a two-part question for you, Chief Demkiw. Talking about expansion in terms of speed cameras, is there likely to be a ramping up of traffic enforcement next year?
Well, listen, I think I've talked about this before. One of the priorities we drove this year as an organization is the understanding that every police officer in the city has a role to play in road safety. So we have our dedicated teams at traffic services. Every division has some dedicated efforts in regards to speed enforcement that will be informed by the hyper-localized analysis of where they're needed. So school zones and the like, where perhaps we had cameras deterring driving behavior, unit commanders will evaluate whether to deploy their resources there. But on top of that, we are driving an organizational approach to traffic safety in general with a greater recognition that it is every police officer's role to contribute to traffic safety in all of their times that they're traveling throughout the city. So you're going to see more enforcement, not just at the local divisional level, but across the city in different ways as we continue to onboard police officers, build capacity at frontline service delivery in ways that we've not had over the last decade. And with that will come a focus on traffic safety as part of their day-to-day duties.
Thank you. And for you, Mayor Chow, a similar question through your lens. As you're looking to negotiate the police budget next year, is expanded traffic enforcement one of the things that you would like to see the Toronto Police Service do?
The City of Toronto already fund officers that are specifically their task is road safety, and we'll continue to fund them. We will need to find extra funding because that funding used to come from the fines that we get from the speed cameras for the people that have violated driving too fast. So we'll have to find extra funds to cover that portion. But I know we are not going to take them off the street. That would not be a wise move. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Great.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much.
That concludes the press conference. Thank you.
Okay, so we've just finished this live press conference from Mayor Olivia Chow and Toronto Police Chief Myron Demkiw to announce an expansion of the Neighbourhood Community Officer Program to additional neighborhoods in the city, as well as the TTC, particularly the Yonge subway line. Although they covered a number of subjects, including speed cameras, the Neighbourhood Community Officer Program expansion. That was the reason for this afternoon's presser. So the 4 neighborhoods that are going to see the NCO program are Dufferin Grove, Banbury, Don Mills, Victoria Village, Wexford, Maryvale, and Etobicoke City Centre. This is crime is down around the city. And Chief Demkiw was also asked about the rise in youth committing violent crime. Mayor Chow says that there has been a drop in violence on the TTC and that significant steps have been taken to make it even safer. 160 TTC staff and supervisors, they have been added to the platforms. More than 100 TTC constables and streets to home staff have also been increased to help those in need, along with community ambassadors.